You're listening to Bears Beyond the Gate, a Bristol Bears podcast made by fans for fans. We're three friends who love the club, the game, and all things Bears. Well, boys, we had a week off last Sunday. We were kind of thinking about doing a pod, but it was actually very complex, partly because it was your birthday, Lee, and you were on a 3-day birthday celebration.
Yes, which it extended into, I think it was a 5 or a 6 day birthday celebration in the end, Pete.
Wow. Was it a good one?
Well, it was great, actually. It was fab, but Bristol Bears sobered me right up Saturday afternoon.
All right, yeah, we'll get onto that in a sec. Just to say, we are back at the tobacco factory.
Ooh,
Sacrilege. Kind of. Well, we're back at the Bristol Beer Factory. I hope Lewis didn't listen to that. So we're back in our spiritual home. It's quite nice, isn't it? We're in our little corner. Yeah. We've got a couple of beers and still quite light outside.
Yeah,
it's much nicer doing the pod in the kind of spring and summer. But we're here because obviously we had a game Saturday. I think 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, we said that given the way that the league's panning out and being so close, the top 4, 5, 6 so close, that we really thought this was going to be the must win of must wins. And of course, what did we do? We went and lost. So, Miles, it was disappointing. There's no doubt about it. Just the fact, forgetting about who the opposition is, the fact that we needed 5 points to keep in the hunt, it's just disappointing, full stop, to not get 5 points. I mean, there was a consolation in the sense that we got a try bonus point. But this has put us, well, it's out of our hands now because we're now in 5th because of what happened at Exeter versus Bath today. Exeter did what they had to do. They beat a really good side at home when the pressure was on. Obviously, there are still 3 games to go. It's not completely over, but ultimately, if everyone wins their games above us, although they might be playing each other, I grant you, it is going to be tough. But we're still in the hunt. It wasn't all bad yesterday, though. I mean, it started pretty brightly. Me and you were there, Miles, in the sun, and Lee, you were listening on the wireless.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that after. Yeah.
So I mean, it was a great start. I mean, superstar Fitzy scored again within 2 minutes. Yeah, I mean, he was grappling with Tom Jordan for the ball because he wanted to convert his own try. I'm sure of it.
I should say Fitzy, actually, in the last few weeks, when as a team we've been a bit below par. Fitzy has been outstanding.
It's funny, actually. We're going off on a tangent already, but the thing is, they're now talking on comms, because I then watched it this morning. Yeah. They are now regularly talking about him being the best, got the stats in the Prem, the best tackler, the best line breaks. And then apparently they said that he was told by England that he has to, be better over the ball. And apparently he's won more turnovers than anyone.
Well, there we are.
So it's kind of hard to think why, and I know it's a competitive area, but as Austin Healey also said, he said the one other thing he's got over a lot of his contemporaries is that he's very durable. He goes 80 minutes and he hasn't been injured. Absolutely. So Steve Borthwick was actually at the game yesterday.
He was, yeah.
So, I mean, cynical people would say he was just there to see his mates, Itoje and JB George.
And the weather was nice.
Yeah,
but down in his shorts,
I'd like to think more enlightened fans, probably more balanced fans, would say, he was keeping an eye on Fitzy and possibly George Klosker as well as. I mean, he couldn't really watch much of Theo Dan, could he? Because Theo Dan was on the bench for most of the game. But that'll still get him in the squad, though.
No, of course it would.
Anyway, so Miles, we got off to a really good start. I mean, it's always nice to get a bit of la 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 in early doors, but we all looked at each other and basically said, too early.
You did say to me, we've gone too early.
Yeah.
And I did say, all right, Pete, I know the history isn't on our side, but I agree. Fantastic, lovely sunny afternoon. You and I were in our shorts, first time of the season. Great crowd. Well, 17,000, which is for Saturday afternoon, encouraging. Yeah. The middle of the Atio was full, really good noise, good buzz on the ground. And you're right, 2 minutes in, things could have gone either way, really, but it didn't quite go to plan, did it?
I mean, I think the reality was that it was the first half. I mean, you could see it with your eyes. There was 3 huge line breaks straight through our defence, but we did miss 26 tackles. And we were outscored by Saracens. They scored 4 tries by about 29 minutes. And we, had quite a lot of red zone pressure. and just didn't convert it, Lee. And I just think, realistically, even though the game was quite close up to the end, that first half was the problem.
That's what killed us. I mean, I have to admit, listening to it on, as you call it, the wireless.
Yeah.
It was more than nail biting. It's, you know, when you're watching it on the TV, you've still got a kind of sense of the game and how the game's panning out.
You can see where players are and stuff.
And when you're listening to it on the radio, you just literally don't have that concept. No. It is literally, and I do say, your mate Dan.
He's Dan Albert. He's our mate. Yeah,
he was brilliant.
He's brilliant on the radio. Brilliant. I actually say to people every now and again, I know there aren't. It's worth like just doing. Listening to radio,
putting a blindfold on down at the gate, putting the
Yeah.
wireless on.
But it is good. You're right. It's a different sort of experience, and I did that when I was away at Christmas, and I listened to a couple of the games. It's a completely different experience.
It's great,
it's more stressful. 100%.
More stressful. Quite. And it kind of felt like I was feeling for you guys there, actually, you know, being at the gate watching it, because I was thinking I felt quite stressed, quite frustrated by that, and I thought you guys being inside the stadium were probably tenfold for you, and it to me, how it came across is like we just hit the self-destruct button again and again and again. And I mean, we've been kind of back in our defence all season. We've been quite good.
I think we've been good.
That just felt like it was back in the dark days defence was kind of like optional. Yeah, it really felt like
defence was like a couple of hours on a Friday afternoon before you go out for a few coffees.
A little bit like that. You know, obviously in the first half they scored 5 tries to our 3, you know, and tongue in cheek, I was saying to Pete, we need a sort of Exeter Chiefs away-esque defence. But sadly, and that was horrendous weather, in lovely sunny afternoon weather, there was no excuse for it, but we just absolutely capitulated.
Yeah.
And they ran through us with such ease, it just felt a little bit embarrassing, to be honest with you, even for a neutral, to see the ease in which they just sliced through our defence.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the stats, we missed 35 tackles in the whole game. I'd say 26 in the first half. For the whole game, we had 16 entries into their 22. They had 12. We scored 26. They scored 41.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's the summary of the game. It's what we've talked about a lot in the past. It's that ability to take your chances. And although, you know, when you look at the set piece stats, our line out success was 86. Which is not bad, but the 2 that we missed were the 2 that really mattered. It was 2 when we were
on their line,
and you know, and then it's just, and then they won 8 turnovers to our 5. But it's like where those turnovers are as well, isn't it? And you know, if they win a turnover on their line, that's worth about 10 more turnovers than if you win a turnover on the halfway line. So,
I mean, one thing I will say at half time, or just before half time, I could hear quite clearly Pat Lam effing and jeffing at the players,
because the radio commentary, they'll be sitting very close to the coaches.
And I mean, Pat did not seem like a happy chap whatsoever. And we should say, you know, they did tighten up the defence in the second half. But then you'd expect that.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about another scenario where we've already let the game slip up to that point. You know what I mean? And it's like it's like deja vu again.
Deja vu all over again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, the slightly frustrating thing about that is that when you make those sloppy mistakes, or it negates all of the really good stuff. There was some really good stuff. There was there was some really good little, like Genji did one amazing offload where he was in the midfield. It was past the ball in front of him. It was a bit too far in front. He was stumbling and he flicked one behind his back to the runner coming round. It was unbelievable bit of skill, but it didn't lead to a try. And then a bit later on, someone dropped it and it led to their try. And it's like, it's really frustrating that all these amazing little things, they are some very, very highly skilled players in our team, but it's just the key moments.
But sadly, those are the things I've probably forgotten from yesterday, and it's tragic, isn't it? And the thing that that I remember the most is the horrendous no-look pass from Genji that just led to another try. And I hate saying this, he's such a skillful player, and Bristol through and through, but the system we play, is it just too technical all of the time against a team as good as Sarries? to play that way. And clearly yesterday it was, wasn't it?
And that's a great question, because, why do we keep coming back to this same old story of frustration and individual errors in games? And there's got to be a reason for that. And I know that there's a lot of people who probably, it feels like it's starting to grow against Pat Lam again. And we'll probably discuss that a bit later. But those individual errors that happen on the pitch, Pat Lam can't control any of that. The only way you can control it is by making the coaching a bit more basic, which is what Miles is saying.
Yeah.
But then you lose then a bit of the fluidity and a bit of the tempo.
It is a very difficult balance to get, because if you, we don't play the percentages very often, but teams that play the percentages are pretty dull to watch. And Saracens got quite a good mix yesterday. They box kicked a lot, but they were good box kicks, and they also, they tackled hard. They made line breaks. They offloaded. You can't say they didn't.
You can't say they were a boring
They contributed to it.
No,
it was it was a great game to watch. It was lots. It was a great spectacle.
It was.
It just wasn't. Yeah, but it was just pretty disappointing for a home fan that we didn't have this kind of ability to shut them down, really. And it's one of those questions, like, did they win it or did we lose it? Or was it a bit of both?
I personally felt we hit the self-destruct button, and yet again, I think there was another game that we've lost that was winnable. And we can go back to, we were in the game at Leicester Tigers. We should have beaten Harlequins the big day out. You know what I mean? And I just feel like these games, they're so important. We keep talking about fine margins, but they are fine margins for a reason. Yeah. That's the reason we say it.
Keep coming off on the wrong side.
The only thing I would say, I did listen to the post-match interview that our mate Dan Albert did with Pat, and Pat was basically saying the first half, it was bad, and he said we kind of sorted it out at half time, but he basically said they got rolled, and he said the line-out defence was particularly bad, and they were quite surprised by that, because the line-out defence has been pretty good, but Saracens got made quite a lot of hay through a line-out. But he kind of implied that it was, players weren't quite in the right places. So the point I'm trying to make is that, he was saying that the system was fine. It's just that when you haven't got the right people in the right places. Now, the question is that their fault because they're not doing their job, or is it just really difficult in the harem-scarum of a game when you're up against some pretty hardcore players that you've got to have that ability to think that clearly under pressure? It's a balance, rather than every now and again you just say, are we just going to have a 20-minute, like, it's almost like someone calls, we're going to have a 10-minute calm. We're just going to 10-minute kick to the corners, and then we'll go back to it again. I don't know. It's so difficult to know what's right.
It's quite straightforward for me. If players are out of position, then that's down to the coaching.
Yeah.
Because that should be quite clear right from the off what position players should be in. And they're not in those positions. Obviously they're not, because the way Burke in particular just absolutely almost pirouetted through our non-existent defence was embarrassing.
And I suppose it's not just, it's also communicating, obviously, in that we have a system, they have a system. Just because we have a system doesn't always mean our system's going to work better than their system. And this is the problem. You're always playing against someone else. So it's also that ability to communicate quickly. And I think this season we appear to have done that quite well. But it did feel like, particularly in the first half, that there was just a bit of confusion. Now, I don't know whether that's because we've got players who haven't played. I don't know, it's hard to say. Or was it just Saracens put you under that pressure? Confusion gets created by pressure. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever know, but you're right. That's the sort of thing that we have to get better at in the big moments. But how do you coach that?
It didn't. I know we've been pressured by teams like Sale, haven't we, in the past? And you kind of understand a lot of that, the kind of line speed. But for me, Saracens came down to play rugby just as much as we wanted to play rugby. So. And it just felt like it was more, the onus was more on us making individual mistakes than them grasping the game by the scruff of the neck and taking it to us.
Yeah, I didn't, Saracens, well, the stats are terrible, aren't they? I mean, what appeared yesterday, they've won the double over just the last 5 seasons.
So 10 games on
10
the trot.
games in a row. I mean,
Well, that's not a trot, that's a gallop.
Oh,
I mean, that's a gallop.
yeah.
I mean, I didn't know that yesterday, but that's an
Constitution
appalling
Hill gallop.
Yeah.
horrendous statistic. Now, clearly, our worst bogey team, aren't they? You're right, because we've succumbed to Sale, haven't we? We've learnt the system, we've beaten them. But, they came down yesterday and played a good game of rugby. Nothing outstanding that we shouldn't have been worried about. But, if the system on the training ground is all well and good and everyone's in the right place, there is something fundamentally wrong when that system doesn't work on a daytime game against a team, let's just say, who've not been firing on all cylinders all season and can just run amok and score some particularly easy tries.
So how can Mark McCall have the hex over Pat Lam to that extent?
I don't know. I mean,
10 games.
I know.
That is, there's obviously something, like, I don't feel like in a lot of those Sarries games, it's already felt like we've kind of, like a lot of those games we've not ever been in. Like we never would expect.
I mean, you're right.
We
We never expect to go up to Sarries and win, do we?
No, not a lot of teams do they?
It's a tough pitch, etc. Northwest London, and we've never particularly won. They've snuck it in the last sort of 10 minutes of the game before, haven't they?
Yeah.
Down at Ashton Gate. But going into yesterday, I felt a little bit confident. But I think once those sort of that first half had finished, it was just business as usual. Sarries just know when to push hard. They know when to find gaps. Mark McCall is clearly an outstanding coach. Look at the statistics and just know how to beat Bristol. And
something has to change.
yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
I mean, the interesting thing about Sarries is that we've always said this, we know what they're going to bring.
Yeah.
Physicality, borderline illegal line speed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we can't moan about that. You do something about it.
Absolutely.
And I mean, the physicality side of it is hard. Like if they are physical and our boys are trying as hard they can and they can't quite get that physicality, we can't expect them to suddenly grow 2 stone on the pitch.
No.
So there is a wider picture about what sort of players you're recruiting, because we're asking Genji, George Kloska to be those mobile, skillful players. And that takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
But also we need players to be, when they go, I mean, the irony is we've said recently our biggest go forward player is almost Fitz Harding. Is got that physicality, but
and he was never the guy to be.
not really.
But I mean, I was going to say we don't see many of the Saracens front row sort of doing all of that fancy work. Although Jamie George did a couple of fantastic little offloads. Actually, I've got to say. I do like him.
Yeah.
Even though he's a Saracen, I think he's actually playing. I thought he's as good as he's ever played. I thought he was
He was
outstanding.
brilliant. And also, to be fair, Bracken.
Yeah.
I mean,
bloody brilliant, wasn't he?
He was quick.
But I suppose going back to what I said was that it's difficult because we didn't have the physicality to overcome their phicality on Saturday.
Not really. You know what? I mean, you know what Tom Willis is going to bring. He's
Yeah.
an absolute unit.
But can you do
And
anything
Izzard
about
as
it on
well.
the game?
I don't know. They are
Jordan
massive.
Pring, beforehand, was interviewed and said, "We need to hit Willis. We need to hit him hard and early."
I mean, to be honest,
Like you say, what can you do?
for the first 5 minutes, we were all over them, and they were getting punched all over the place. And at certain times in the game, we were. But it's just that being able to do it for the whole 80 minutes.
And as you said, statistics don't lie. When we're in the red zone, our efficiency is not good enough, is
And
it?
I bet Dunny, if Dunny's listening to this, if he is, well done for the red cap back again. Good
Yeah.
to see the red cap back.
Yeah.
And Dunny would probably say, boys, I was giving everything on Saturday. And he
Oh,
was.
not
I
denying
was
that.
smashing every ruck. And he was. Dunny, I was watching him go around and he's told us this, that he is the guy that smashes the rucks. But it's almost like it can't be just him as well. He's got he did do a few carries, I noticed, Dunny, into contact. But I don't know, where do you get that balance? Because are we ever going to beat teams like Saracens or Bordeaux or Toulouse like we are at the moment?
I can't see it.
I can't see it.
I can't see it. Unless something changes, I can't see us being the team that we all want us
And
to
this is
be.
why I think we are also, we've said this right from the start, we have to acknowledge again, since we've come back from the Six Nations, not having Rubiolo and not having Bill Matter, I think has made has caused us these extra problems.
And now losing Ogre as well. I mean, Thacker's a great player,
but Thaxter's not played that much, has he?
That's the thing.
And that's why I felt a bit sorry for him, because he's coming into a big game, relatively cold.
Yeah.
But he's as good as any sub you want.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Yeah, it was. So I mean, it's a tricky one. There was it raised, unfortunately, more questions than we wanted. I didn't want to be having to ask these questions again.
We didn't want to be sat here, did we?
No, we wanted to be. We were hoping that we'd be saying, we got 4 points. We'll be happy with 4 points. Saracens are now out the picture. We're now pushing Exeter.
Absolutely.
And now we're thinking, and I was pretty disappointed after the game, because ironically we were still fourth despite that, but I was walking home and I was quite disappointed. And the reason I was disappointed is that irrationally, I was quite looking forward again to a home game. The sun was out. I had a few beers. There was good atmosphere, and it's just I don't want to lose those games. We should win them. I want to win those games. Now, whether I'm being totally irrational and not putting any proper analysis into the reasons why we lost, it's just disappointing.
Well,
I'm allowed to be disappointed.
Let's back that up by the fact that we seem to be, like we kept saying, deja vu. We keep continually getting into these big match occasions, must win. We keep saying must win games. And we keep just falling the wrong side of it. And there's an issue with that.
Yeah, and it's quite tiring as a season card holder.
I mean, other than going up to row 24, there is more tiring, emotionally more tiring watching Bristol Bears than anything else. You're right. I'm not happy that we get 1 point at home. Who can be?
And although we have had a better home record this season, not that there have been that many home games. Ironically, one home game that wasn't at home we lost, but it just, it still doesn't matter because this was the home game we really needed to win.
And also not really comparing it against, valiant, seasons at Ashton Gate in years gone by, are we? I mean, we've been pretty shit at home, let's face it.
Yeah.
We just seem to be a bit better this year.
Yeah.
But it's not the fortress that, like Miles has said, that
really.
Northwest London is.
Yeah.
It's not the fortress that maybe Franklin's Gardens is.
No.
It's the hope
or the wreck, unfortunately.
It's the hope that kills us. We get an outstanding win. It's less often than we would like these days, isn't it? And it gives us hope as fans. We have a fantastic result away at Newcastle, which we haven't had for years. You beat Gloucester away, etc. And that gives us hope. But the real hope, I'm afraid, lies with winning your home games. And other teams are just better at it. And
although not Newcastle.
Not Newcastle.
Who shipped 78 points to Harlequins today.
And when it really mattered today, Exeter Chiefs go and absolutely put one over on Bath.
To do.
And and their game was quite close, right up to the last quarter. And you would have thought Bath might have won that, and they put them away. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Going back to our game was quite close to a point. But when we only scored 5 points in the second half, we played better in the second half and scored 5 points. We played badly in the first half and scored 21.
Damage was done.
So it's frustrating. And then, I mean, they won. What did they win in the end? It was 41-26. But the last 7 points were kind of us trying to run out of our 22. It didn't really make any difference. It didn't make any difference to them. Didn't make any difference to us. A bit of points difference, I suppose. So it was one of those ones that looked a bit worse, but it didn't really matter. It was, when Itoje got carded, we scored a try whilst the penalty was pending, scored in the corner, then he sent Itoje. So I don't think you can say that try was because of the yellow. We didn't score anything else in that yellow period.
Which isn't good enough.
We had 2 tries chalked off, didn't we? Let's not forget that.
One he dropped
over the line, and then a marginal decision that Christoph Ridley adjudged to be backwards. He was right there. It was right there.
Yeah, that is a fine margin moment. A fine margin moment because we were going for it because we knew if we score here, we could get back. We'd then be in losing bonus point territory, and we could score again. We've seen it happen. Fantastic. I think we were in our half ruck. Harry gets the ball out. We see it. We're in the dolman, so we could see this. it looks like he drops it, but the ref immediately who stood there is like, no, sideways, backwards. We do we whip it out, fantastic, the Bears way. Revovo scores. We're all whooping and hollering. Then we start seeing a little bit of in the comms. Anyway, our TMO comes in and says it's a knock on. And when he looks at it, you think, well, yeah, it did look a bit funny. Although it did to me look like it went sideways off the hands and then off his foot.
Potentially,
or his neck. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that if that hadn't have happened, I mean, if Harry had just done a clean pass, there'd be no issue. But it happened. These things happen in rucks. But why would the TMO think he had a better angle of it than the ref, who's right there?
Right at the bottom of the ruck, yeah.
Because he didn't have the same angle as the ref. Because he wasn't looking at ref cam when he did it. And Christoph Ridley... He obviously then because of the TMO coming in, Christoph Ridley started doubting his own.
Which I was surprised about, because actually it seemed to me that he'd refereed the game quite well.
It's funny that, because a lot of people said he was terrible, but then it's so hard when you watch it live at the game. You get upset in every penalty that goes against you, and then when you go and see it on TV, you think, oh, that's fair enough. But I suppose and I can't tell in the heat of a live game whether Saracens are cheating or not. It looks to me like they are. Everybody's going in. It's so difficult.
I mean, I think he's an all right ref, and there's a couple of supporters in front of us who think he's a really nice bloke and an outstanding ref.
He's being sarcastic, but I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. You're right. I don't know whether. Right. I think the bottom line is you can never blame the ref.
It's almost like we're kind of. And this is part of, like, I guess, the therapy session that we're doing right now, is that we're almost like trying to find, like that little, I don't know, pot of gold or something at the end of the rainbow. I just don't think it's there.
You're right. I mean, we shouldn't have been in that situation. But, I mean, I don't want, it's another a conversation for another day. Too much TMO intervention. You're right. The ref was there.
They're not there to adjudicate. They're there to actually assist.
If there's a question, I agree.
Well, anyway, I think we've done quite well. We got a few. We always get. I didn't ask for any short, sharp summaries, but then we tend to get quite a lot, quite close to when people think we might be doing a pod, which makes it quite difficult for admin. But
people think we're organised.
We did look at a few here, and I think I'll just read out. I thought we've mentioned this person, JP Holden, at JP Holden character. We're assuming it's a man, don't we? We don't. It could be a woman. We don't know. But off is now. Unfortunately, the Hambleys have got another big kid on the block from a poetry point of view. Yeah. Whether it's AI generated, I don't know. But the point is, it's developed. So, I mean, he's.
Wait a minute. Wait a second. Do you think JP could be using AI?
Well, he could. I mean, because it exists. I'm not saying it's true.
I don't know.
But anybody could. I mean, I haven't seen him. I mean, it could. I'm not saying. but don't be naive to think that it doesn't exist.
Listeners.
I don't know. I mean, he is very, very good, isn't he?
I'm not saying. I'm just. I as a teacher now, I have to be critical of everything that I see that has not been written in front of me.
Yeah.
So anyway, here's one.
Give him a shout.
It goes here. It's JP Holden. A root cause analysis is now complete. I dissected so much, but the end's bittersweet. Now it's 1 a.m. Time for 2 milky teas, but I've still no clue why we can't beat Sarries.
Very good.
So I love that. And I'd be so disappointed. JP,
and he keeps going.
From your own.
A long day out, a trip to the gate. Now it's 12 a.m. and getting late. Plenty of time to digest the stats, ponder on this, ruminate on that. Oh, I got that the wrong way around, didn't I? Should have done that one first. But, it's that we like that. And then another one, which was quite recently, actually. So this is a 1 hour one, so it's slightly bigger picture. The soothsayer speaks. The run-in is always nip and tuck. And to think it was our showpiece game where we came unstuck. But don't worry, we still make the playoffs, he says. As he stands up to leave, he picks up his fez.
Okay.
Yeah. What else have we got here? There's quite a lot of general stuff here. A lot of people are saying 6th place now. There's a lot of pessimism on where we're going to... And I think it's not pessimism. I think it's realism.
It's not
I mean, I think if... it's... Yeah, I mean, I think it's... I mean, what shall I read out? Alice Pod? Alcy Pod, sorry.
Yeah,
Our mate
absolutely.
Go for
Because
it.
I mean, we're all in this together, aren't we?
Alan.
Not just
I
about
saw
us.
him
Go
before
for
the
it.
game, and I said to him, I'm fearful for you. If it all goes wrong today, I don't want you to have a heart attack or your head to explode or your vital organs to like. Anyway, he said, "Oh,
digest each
anyway."
other.
So he's come back on and
Can
he
you do it in a
said,
Scottish accent? Is he Scottish?
"No, he's not. He's from Nailsea."
Oh, is he?
is he?
Okay.
And he said, "What's it say?" Oh no, he's replying to someone else. This could get messy. Actually, right, here we go.
What's the original post?
Actually, it's actually from Matt Crute originally. He said, "Can't moan. We can moan all we want about injury issues, but pointy end of the season is about getting it done. And since the Six Nations, we've barely been at the races. And our own worst enemy, leaking points all over the shot."
That's
And
pretty much what I said.
Alan's come in and said,
tomorrow.
"Yeah, we have no right being in the top 4. The fact we will finish in top 6 is a miracle because our squad is barely good enough for top 8. Underfunded, terrible coaching, no desire or fight when it matters. Extra of average players who are coached well. Owner, CEO, and coaches need to go."
Why can't he just be more honest?
Yeah, I don't quite understand what he's trying to say.
Oh,
there.
he's different around there, isn't
I mean, that is
He's
the
beating
one.
around the bush there.
I mean, I'm going to say we're just reading this out. This is one end of a spectrum, but
Do not
Yeah.
give Pat Lam his address wherever you
No, I want to give I want to give our friend Marcus Watts a little
a nod.
a little
Good friend
doff-
of the pod. Go for it.
As Marcus has said, we defended like a marketing agency.
yeah.
Oh,
Now we'll get on to that subject in a bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's even the most positive person we know, which is Music Life at Funky House R&B, aka
K-Town.
Debs from K-Town. She's now saying,
even after that.
realistically, 5th, 6th with our spot. If Exeter trip up 5th, but more likely 6th, in my opinion. Small squad and injuries have cost us, but our second half display yesterday was a good effort, considering. Always likes to put a
Yeah, I like
positive in.
that. That's a fair point, Debs.
That is a fair point, but that shouldn't be the norm for any of us.
No.
That shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be acceptable. And I'm not having to go there, but I'm just saying generally.
No.
Well, look,
Let's talk about this. Right, we've got a little a posse, I'd say now, of Pat out. Right, so shall I name the names or not? Should we do that, or should we just save all that for
save all that. I mean,
for the end? Yeah,
I would
for
say
the end of the season.
Okay.
I just feel like
But let's just caveat the whole thing
at
that
some point we need.
Well, I
to
think we were
discuss.
saying this beforehand is that if as it looks like it's going to happen, but it may not because the season's not over.
Yeah.
And if you think back to last year, first 20, 25 minutes at the Rec, we looked like we were heading to the Premiership final. So
is true.
Again, it's fine margins. If we do end up not getting anywhere again, come 5th or 6th, then there will be questions about where are we going with the club, partly because we have been sort of persuaded or sold quite a long time ago that we were going to be competing at the top table like all the time. Now the top table has to be, I would say, the top 4.
Yeah. Agreed.
So we were at the top table last year.
Yeah.
But then the year before, we weren't at the top table. We were. It doesn't matter whether you come 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, or 9th. You're not at the top table. We've kind of been in and out of the top table, but if we don't feel we're ever going to be consistently at the top table, then questions would have to be asked about, like, do things need to change? But it's a difficult one, isn't it? Like, what do you change?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like this subject is always like in the background for me, and it always will be. In terms of we're not producing the results that we should be. And I think we're as close as we get. It's like Miles said, it's the hope that kills you. And we're constantly on the fringes.
But
and we're not, this isn't like a Pat Lam out per se subject, right? Because I think we all agree, all of us here agree that Pat Lam, from where we were when he took us on, we are a million miles away from that club now. Like in terms of just our product, our brand, our everything.
our marketing.
But on the field, what we were sold isn't what's been delivered. You know, it's like at the moment, and I'm going early because I personally feel our season's done. I don't see us coming back in. It'd be a miracle. And I hope I'm wrong. But I just feel that we're at that point now where we're constantly going round in circles. And I think something, at some point, we need change somewhere along the line. Whether that's a defensive coach coming in, whether that's, you know, we shuffle things around a bit. But at the moment, it just feels like we keep talking again about the same subjects, the same unforced errors on the field, the same, or maybe players are out of position. It just, you know what I mean? It's just constantly going over. And I'm fed up with the excuses personally. And I just want us to deliver on the field. That's what we've been sold. And I know it's a tough league, but we're finishing 5th and 6th in a 10 team league. It's not like there's 20 teams there and we're still in the upper echelon.
I mean, I think there's a lot of, you're right, there's a lot of, maybe this is like for a separate pod really. I mean, the only comment I'd make is that you're right, if we don't come 4th, then something, like we have to, they will, I mean, I'm sure, you know, they're not going to just say, oh, that was fine. There'll be some sort of look. What I would say is that we're starting to see homegrown players coming through, and they're not going to be Premiership, like world-class players immediately, but like this season, injuries permitting, Joe Owen, Kloska, possibly people like, you know, people coming through, George Taylor, they're getting quite a lot of experience. So we could see them up their percentage next year. Tom Jordan, I think, will be a better player next year. And let's remember, Ravovo has probably been our best player this year. He didn't, his first season, we didn't hardly see him. No. So whilst we don't want to be buying in players to say, oh, yeah, give yourself a year to get better, there is a kind of development, but
can I just caveat?
These are positives. I'm trying to peel out a difficult situation.
Absolutely appreciate that. But playing devil's advocate a little bit, I think we're seeing these young grown players coming through because of maybe a lack of investment from Lansdowne.
But that might be realistically, and he might be saying, well, that's part of the strategy. You know, I've said this first few years after the rebrand, we didn't have an academy that had any players. I had to buy people in, and we could only do it through big marquee signings, good championship players, unpolished diamonds, polish them up. And it almost worked. It almost worked for reasons nobody ever really understands. We were 28-0 up and then lost. Yeah. The strategy has definitely developed because we are developing younger players, and we're seeing more younger players playing for Bristol, which is, let's be honest, that's what we wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even though,
disagree.
You know, some might leave, some will stay. But the problem is it like a continual cycle of that? Where, at what point do you move up a level to then it's like competitive?
Exactly. Will we get enough? Because we all know about the recruitment, the systems against us anyway, of, you know, the locality of where we are. So will we get enough of those players to actually in 2 or 3 years' time be a Premiership winning team? And I
can't see it. I mean, you know, and you're right, the strategy, let's look at that case in point. You know, our enemy down the road and down the A4 have turned things around inside of 3 years. You cannot deny that, have you? Yeah. Now, whether that's been, we don't know the background. Have investment, the right players, the right coaching, but they've done it inside 3 years. Pat Lamb has been here a downside longer, and we've won one Challenge Cup final.
Yeah.
Now, you know, is that something to be proud of? Yes, of course it is. But if that's it, I could caveat and say, like, I've got a BTEC in cycle mechanics up on my wall at home. Is that the best thing I can bring in 9 years? Flipping up, I'll be disappointed. I mean, let's not beat around the bush.
What's the best thing you've got in your league?
No idea.
I'm qualified. Oh, actually,
Club.
I've got an MVQ4. So
slightly.
I mean, that was 23 years ago, but I'm still dining out on it, Pete.
Absolutely tongue in cheek. But if that's the best we can account for in 9 years, with the money and the investment, and the fantastic support from Steve Lansdowne, I'm going to be more proud of my BTEC.
I'm a bit more. I'm worried because given the fact
I haven't even got a BTEC.
to be honest, maybe there's a.
Listeners don't know that. No.
Given what happened to you the night we won the Challenge Cup, that you went home in a shopping trolley, I'm a bit nervous about what would happen if we won the Prem or the Champions Cup, Miles. It could be to the detriment of your.
I wouldn't care.
I
wouldn't care. If I got carried home in a coffin, it would be bloody well worth it. It'll be absolutely worth it.
You know what? I would totally agree with that as well.
I cannot see. Pat Lam could carry home in a bloody coffin for all I care.
This could be but
it's just not going to happen.
This is the missing link. They love all those. Apparently, in the the HPC, they love all the sort of things on the wall, like motivational things. Now they're going to have. If we win the Champions, if we win,
you can carry
the
Miles
Prem,
home.
Miles Clark will be carried home in a coffin. That's the bit of motivation they need, isn't it? They'll be like, thank God.
If that's what it takes for us to lose a member of the pod,
you can imagine we don't want that bloke talking about phenomenal all the time. It's going to drive them on.
I agree.
Let's get him in the coffin, boys.
If the pod died a death, it would be worth it, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Anyway,
we'd have to go on as a duo.
There's going to be a little picture of Miles, and there's a coffin, and his little head poking out. And they'll be like, Donny, well, you won't be there next year, but they'll be like, boys, come on.
Do you know what? I think Donny would probably come back to us. He'd rejoin us for that moment.
I'd get a pre-tattoo on my arm saying it was worth it.
Yeah. Anyway,
we have digressed.
I think just for a moment we need to pause because we've gone a bit further on from this than I planned from the game, but it is kind of springboarded us into a few things. But I do think we need to get back to brass tacks and have a quick chat about the Friday game against Saints, and then we had a few other things we wanted to talk about. We need to get on with it.
Yeah.
So we'll be back in just a sec. Okay, boys, so we've got to quickly acknowledge the fact we have got another game on Friday. If we thought that the Sarries game was the must-win of must-wins, this is like the must-win of the must-win of the must. This is like trying to win must-win at a global must-win conference. Got to go. Franklin's Gardens away on a Friday night. They still haven't guaranteed home advantage.
No.
And as one of our long-term listeners, Roddy, has tweeted
What's
in
the stats like?
instead that we haven't won there for 6 years or something. It's not looking good, is it?
No.
So I don't think we want to dwell on it too much.
No.
But based on what happened at the weekend, what happened on Saturday, and based on the fact that 5 points or nothing is the situation. Any thoughts on our team selection and tactics?
Well, you guys think that maybe Gabs would be out?
I think Gabs looked like he hobbled off with a hamstring, so he's gone. So Jack Bates came in though, looked good, and he's been raring to. We know because we've spoken to his dad. Jack is raring to go.
Absolutely,
he wants to. He's desperate to make an impact, and that's what we want. We want hunger.
I think in the backs we're doing pretty well, aren't we? We've got a lot of cover. Jack will come in and play out of his skin. Yeah, I don't think.
And Aidan Boshoff might be around as well.
Yeah,
and also, I mean, Jack Bates, he's good defensively as well. He's quite a solid
English qualified, which is
what we this need. Is my point. I was going to say when it comes to that, we also need to think about our selection because in the end, we had to Kofi. I think Kofi Cripps pulled out. From the 23, and then that's why Luca Ivanishinelli came on, because when he came on, I was like, hang on, he wasn't in the thing. And
Jordan Crane said, I think he got injured on Thursday or Friday in training.
But the point is that the reason why we're struggling with the English EQP, and for those people that don't know what that means, it's basically every club has to have an average of 15 English qualified players in their 23 across the whole season. And it now turns out that we're a little bit under the average. Now, that's not necessarily because of bad selection and having too many foreign players. It's because when your English players get injured, which all of our English players did, then you're in a lot of trouble. Every club has a mix of nationalities. But of course, this hasn't helped because Kofi Cripps was English. So now Luca's come on. I mean, that was the reason why now we understand Kieran Marmion didn't start or didn't play. I don't know whether it's starting or playing, whatever. But the point is, it is an issue. And I think now it's going to be still an issue. So it's going to dictate a little bit of selection.
So we're on about Luca Ivanishvili,
Yeah.
But I've heard now he's changed his name to Lucas.
Lucas Smith.
Smith.
Yeah.
So
He
I think
has.
we're all good.
In fact, there's
That'll
about
save us 250 grand fine.
there's
will
about
it?
5 of the lads all like cramming for the English citizenship exam like that, and like even like Calavetti Revovo is like, where be that blackbird to? And then finish the sentence. I knows where he.
And if he gets stuck, he can always text Semi to me, because Semi obviously back.
But when does Bernard
I thought it was the autumn.
qualify?
Yeah,
Not
it's-
till the
yeah,
autumn.
yeah, I think the
So
autumn.
it doesn't count at the moment.
Yeah. So anyway, based on all that, that's what would dictate our selection. Two things: EQP and injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
We could probably afford the fine.
we haven't. Yeah. But I think, there aren't going to be too many changes from what we had on Saturday because we haven't got that many players. So, it's the only issue is like George Taylor didn't come on. So maybe because Joe Owen played the whole thing, maybe he'll. I can't see any different than the front row that we've got. Dunny, Batley, back row the same.
Boshoff is on the bench to take the
That
cover
might be the
from-
only thing.
from Jack
Yeah.
Bates.
Well,
yeah.
there's a chance of redemption then, isn't there? For the it's pretty much the same
Yeah.
team that
Yeah.
played.
And
against Sarries.
Harry will start, and then Thomas Gwilliam was,
Yeah.
and then Fred Davis will be there he'll be tackle bagging in case something goes wrong in the warm-up.
That's what he gives us off the field.
Yeah, one thing we've got going in our favour is that we always beat Northampton at our place.
We do.
Like quite handsomely. So I just think we've got to get in their heads and just say, Finn Smith, you're shit. George Furbank, shit moustache. Just get into their heads a bit, and let's try and get Henry Pollock sent off.
Well, I guess for
That'd be a good start, wouldn't
both teams, it's a must win game,
It's a-
isn't
yeah.
it? So there is more pressure on potentially on Saints on a home turf to get the win. So that.
But I do have a
great.
lot of respect for Franklin's Gardens as a venue. I have a lot of respect for Northampton fans as a
Same
fan
as
body.
Friday. I mean, we would have been there.
Yeah, we
within a
did
shot,
say about
wouldn't we?
going up,
Yeah.
didn't we?
And I have a lot of respect
Tricky on
for
a Friday.
If it would have been
I don't know about you, but I have a lot of respect for Northampton as a team, to be honest. I enjoy watching them play.
I do.
From an Englishman's point of
And
view.
maybe
anyone but them up the A4.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, time will tell. I think we'll just wait with bated breath for Friday and wake up on Saturday morning and hope
bated
that
breath.
Mike bated breath, maybe.
We'll either wake up with, no hope or some hope.
Okay, boys. So that's the games done. One thing we decided we were going to talk about was the furore that did erupt over comments attributed to our CEO Tom Tainton. We sort of, there was a lot of stuff about a week ago. Let's be honest, it was a week ago. We haven't done a pod for a week, but we did feel as though we ought to address it because a lot of our listeners had opinions on it.
Yeah,
and a lot of people had a lot of opinions on all sorts of forums, and to such an extent that Tom obviously, or the club, had to put a statement out because to sort of clarify what happened. But because we've been stung before for talking about things without actually having the facts in front of us, or fact checking, which is an absolutely correct thing to do.
Due process.
What we're going to do is I'm going to set the context.
Yes.
Yeah, go
that's
And
good,
then
that's good.
and so we start with the facts, and then we can make a few comments, and we don't want to go on and on about it because a lot has been said, but we just felt as though people might be interested or not to hear what we think about it. So essentially what happened was that kind of a couple of weeks ago, an article came out in the Independent, and it was written by some guy I'd never heard of, and he quoted Tom Tainton as saying a number of things that riled a few fans. A lot of fans. There's two specific phrases that were kind of wound people up a bit. Was at Bristol Bears, we see ourselves as a marketing agency that plays rugby, and yes, our players have to be competent on the field and able to deliver on the field, but if they're not bringing any value off the field, and this generally factors into our recruitment conversations. And then a sort of further quote about nobody remembers the game against Harlequins or whatever And 2 weeks
And
ago.
more about how we feel about a particular player playing
exactly.
well.
Yeah. So that obviously, in the kind of bare light of day, kind of wound up quite a lot of people.
Me included.
And I've got to say credit to Bristol Ian, who is a guy on Bristol Rugby Net, because there was quite a lot of to and fro. And he said, before I make comment on this, I did a bit of research so I could try and understand where this came from. So on the back of that, I kind of did the same research. And basically, Tom Tainton was at a sports marketing conference in London. It was a 2-day conference. I think this Sports Pro is some sort of magazine or website. It was called Sports Pro London, 30th of April. And there were a number of kind of panel things. It looks like where you have a couple of people on a panel. I imagine interested people go into the room and they say something and they ask them questions. So Tom was on a panel with Simon Massey-Taylor, who is the CEO of Prem Rugby, and also I think the editor of the Sports Pro. And there was a little bit of it was 12:30 p.m. for those people that want real facts, and it was in the Duchy suite. Nice. And I don't know, it makes me feel like they're all sat on a little stage, and it's kind of like a chat, and there's people who ask questions, and it says that the sort of blurb that was in there was blurb about what they were there for. It was called Prem Rugby State of the Union. Rugby stands at a critical crossroads, balancing its heritage against a high stakes commercial future, with private equity recalibrating the sport's value and new formats threatening the status quo. The next decade will define whether rugby thrives as a global brand or remains as a niche powerhouse. Key talking points include private equity support from CVC and potential for more multi-sport investors to follow Red Bull, transitioning from broadcast reliance to diverse digital streams, leveraging the Gallagher partnership success and countering disruptor leagues, and 3, which is the important thing, well, they're all important, but interesting, strategies for youth engagement, humanising athletes to build individual brands and capturing a digital native audience. So that was what they were there to talk about, and sort of stuff that, I mean, it's very markety speak. And the people in the room were marketing people, probably not even necessarily rugby fans, certainly not Bristol Bears fans, I imagine. And of course, Tom... The facts is that on the basis of this, Bristol Bears then had to put out a statement because there was a lot of furore about the quotes that we mentioned, and the Bristol Bears response, which is kind of interesting because that's also factual, was I appeared on a panel at a sports business event earlier this week to talk about Prem Rugby and the future of the league. I was asked a question, so it wasn't an interview with a journalist. I was asked a question about how rugby can create star players to help grow the sport, which is not an unusual question to ask.
No, not
given the fact we've always talked in the past about marquee players are partly there to grow the sport.
Yeah, agreed.
And in my response, I talked about the positive impact of Lewis Rees-Zammit and Ilona Meyer at the Bears and how a mindset shift is required to create more superstars in the game. I suggested that to successfully achieve that goal, our strategic approach should be more aligned to a marketing agency than a rugby club, a mantra we have tried to adopt at the Bristol Bears in our commercial team. The comment was unfortunately taken out of context in a news article which has since sparked considerable debate online. To reassure our supporters, whilst we are proud to be different at Bears, our number one priority is performance, to win trophies and to inspire our community through rugby success. This hasn't and won't ever change. So that is the facts as they stand. So
let's give our interpretation
Lee,
of those facts.
it's up, or Miles, it's up to you to give your opinion on what you think
Miles,
about
do you want
this.
to go first? Because I've written about this in the post article tomorrow.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is something let me just quote something I sort of put on our sort of friends group. I mean, I feel the timing wasn't great, taken in context or out of context, in some shape or form, as the previous head of marketing and media. Some could interpret it as a mild to absolutely massive PR gaffe. Okay? And I see his point to a certain extent, but let's just quote the facts that he stated, when as I've said in the past, we got Ilona Meyer in, a fantastic, representative of women in sport and social media. Big tick. However, as soon as she left, has the interest in Bears women been sustained? Let's not argue. No. Okay. So, it's dipped. This suggests that really this type of player brings like a peak and trough effect in social media and marketing. And I think, as I stated, contracts are just too short to rely on these players in a long-term growth effect in Bristol rugby or any rugby. England women has gained massive support in the last year. And why is that? They are undoubtedly the best team in the entire world. Okay? And Bristol are not currently the best team in the world, the Premiership, in any shape or form.
We're not even the best team in our own league.
So, so buying in, like Lona Meyer, Lewis Rees-Zammit are an absolute, I agree with Tom, an absolute marketeer's dream for what they bring off the pitch and on the pitch. However, it's such short-termism that I think it'll be irrelevant in 2 years. And by Tom potentially saying fans won't remember a game in 2 years' time, if we don't perform, if we don't win, I don't care if we had Ilona Meyer and Lewis Rees-Zammit for one season. It's an irrelevance in the way, if we don't win anything. And basically, they're too short-termism in the marketing. And that's it. I get his point to a certain extent, but, we do remember games. We remember that game, Ashton Gate, where we were 20-0 up and ultimately 28-0 up and lost against. We remember that probably till the day we die if we never win another trophy.
And we should back that up, actually, because what Miles is talking about there is there was further comments from Tom Taintman saying that, we don't remember these big games so much. We remember player performances.
Yeah.
Well, that's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. Like, if you're playing as a team, we could have 5 or 6 players playing blinders in one game. We didn't go down to watch, as much as we love Bats, we didn't go down to watch Batley have a blinder. We go down to watch Bristol Bears beat the opposition, right? And that's what really upset me. That was a really daft opinion, and I was surprised that Tom Taintman actually come out with that. We've interviewed Tom, right? Everyone's listened to the podcast. We all know rugby, right? Premiership rugby needs to change. We all know that. We all agree with that. We had a brilliant chat with Tom, and I think we all agree on a balanced point of view. Tom Taintman is one of the left field people that will take the game rugby into the next generation, right? There's no doubt about that.
Agree.
Yeah, we all agreed on that. The thing that really sticks with me is, for me, his comments were naive, they were crass, and they were insensitive. And I know he was kind of addressing it to younger audiences or potential younger audiences, but it kind of just felt like it was absolutely disrespecting everything that had gone up. 1888, we were like founded, right? We've been a rugby club full of tradition, heritage, everything else. And the old boys that have paid their money long before we did are the reason we still have a club to support now. And at a time, especially when season cards are imminent, it was really bad timing. And the naivety really surprised me, because I thought, like, Tom Taintman's a switched on guy. We all admit that. We all know that. And I don't know how he could have, made those comments and not realised the impact it would have had across a wider audience for our fan base.
Yeah. I mean, it's, I mean, as we know, sometimes you make comments and then people listen to them and you forget that, and things spread. And I mean, the proof of the pudding's in the eating. there wouldn't have been. There was clearly some issue because there was a furore, and people had diverse opinions. I mean, there's some opinions were ridiculous. I mean, they were saying it was a rat in a moment. I mean, he wasn't saying we're crap.
No.
But and also there was other. But you're right. I mean, it was I think. My take is that we're a marketing agent that plays rugby. He was talking about his commercial team. He wasn't, I can't, but anybody who thinks that they stand in front of the players and say, oh, you're not a rugby team, that's nonsense. I mean, that's not true. I think the thing about, it should have just been clearer. It's like, obviously, we have to market performance on the pitch and players, but he was talking, probably was asked a very specific question about social media coverage and how that does build it. But of course, it's a bit like a Ponzi scheme, isn't it? You've got to win something as well as have the players. And I think this is where the grey area is. And I think, we've had a lot of fans say that, like you said, that, the reality is success and success comes from success and performance, rightly so, not just from personality. But rugby is a kind of at a crossroads, and there's all this talk with Eddie Hearn and the Matchroom and Pollock and Finn Russell. It has to happen because it is. Look, we can't just disagree that there's not enough money in rugby. You just have to look at the accounts.
No, of course.
And this is part of the big picture with Steve Lansdown. Is he's trying to say to the club, you've got to be self-sufficient. How do you become self-sufficient? You've got to attract sponsorship. You've got to attract more bums on seats, and you can't. The trouble is with rugby is you can't guarantee every performance. This is the problem. You can't guarantee that you're going to win every game.
Yeah, but you can't do that in any sport, Pete.
Yeah, but if you're marketing a product, you can, because you have a product, but it's different because it is different. I understand. No, I'm not disagreeing. So I think the problem is, you're right. It's the thing about we pay money to go and watch a game. It's sometimes irrational, and it does feel like we do, as you say, we do remember that stuff. It's what we go for. Otherwise, what's the point of us going there and doing it and engaging with it all?
How can you turn around and say supporters don't remember what happened against Harlequins 2 years ago?
I would say that was probably, and this is, I don't know, but that was just an unfortunate off the cuff comment that probably wasn't thought out. But I mean, I don't know.
It would actually be nice if Tom actually would come back on the pod.
I'm sure we can ask at the end of the season. We might chat to him a lot of things. I mean, again, we've always thought about this and thought, well, it's a good time. And I think he's always been willing at the end of the season when we know what's happened. Because if we suddenly go and win the Premiership final in 4 weeks, in 5 months' time, we're going to be cock a hoop, aren't we? And we'll look like blooming idiots. So I think we have to wait until the end.
Miles is already given his life.
Yeah, he's
ready for a trophy.
So I think end of season, I think it's good to acknowledge it. I think that we all recognise. Well, I'm sorry, I can't speak for you, but it's very clear that marketing is incredibly important for the general future and sustainability of any sports club. But it was, and we also, I mean, we do bang on about how good we are and how our social media is the leading, we've set the scene and we've done it. And, it links into stuff on match days that some people like, some people don't, and so forth. So, I mean, I think it's good that we made the point, and I think it's important to recognise that a lot of fans were upset about exactly what you said about this kind of, it felt like it's disrespecting the kind of deeper roots of why people are fans, why they do it. And there are lots of different types of fans at Bristol. There are people like you, Lee, that have been born and bred, been here all your life. There's people like us who are co-opted Bristol fans. We still feel annoyed and stuff.
Of course we are. We're all equally invested.
It's kind of just recognising that investiture.
I mean, it's good to debate. As we know, we've had Tom on the podcast. He's fully invested in the club. There's no one can deny that, can we? He's club through and through, and it's just maybe.
Well, let's look
maybe
on.
You're absolutely right.
Look on
the context of the event was taken out.
Wait a minute. It feels like you're kind of both letting him off a little bit.
No, I'm not.
I feel that no, he shouldn't be. He shouldn't be let off the leash. I think the comments were made. And we've discussed the context, which is great for balance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've done the balance thing, but I still think they're naive and insensitive.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair enough.
Right, we have a little bit more AOB to deliver before people start losing the will to live, because this has been going on a long time. But then again, we didn't do one last week, so it's almost like we need a bumper issue.
Absolutely.
When it comes to AOB, I had a couple of things. Sort of interestingly, slightly related. I just wanted to mention quickly.
Related to rugby, hopefully.
Well, related to this whole issue
okay.
about rugby being exciting is that we talked about it before. Is that at Ashton Gate on Saturday, I feel like we've moved on in terms of us moaning about queues and things like that. It's been quite a lot of innovation. Yeah. So there was a load of mobile beer sellers. There was a pop-up bar in the Dolmen that had, like, we'd moaned about the fact that if you put another bar opposite the existing bars, you then just have two queues banging into it. But I noticed that they now do a little snaky kind of queuey thing from the side. So you're trying to, it looks to me like there's been quite a lot of effort to sort of streamline and make that match day experience as good as possible, because that is also part of the issue. They don't want, Ashton Gate don't want people going online moaning about beer queues or this, that and the other. And I also, interestingly, there was less razzmatazz in the game. We didn't see bongo cam, we didn't see lookalike cam, we didn't see wave cam, we didn't see Simba cam. I actually missed the fact, you reckon that there was the clapometer or the cheerometer, but they weren't. Now, we were wondering why that was. But we were wondering why was it just because there weren't any breaks in the game, or was it, do you think they toned it down a bit?
I think it was when we were on the front foot. Yeah. And it just feels, because I know Dan Albert said, like the volume's been lifted, and we were definitely in the ascendancy.
Yeah, I mean, there was one point, I say, we always joke a little bit about the only time fans really get going is when we're about to score or where we're trying to defend our line. And there was one moment when I think it was relatively critical time where I was thinking, we're still in this game, and we were either defending or but the noise got really big. It was actually I'd say one of the loudest sort of quite electric atmosphere. And I like the fact that we mentioned this earlier, that they've obviously made an effort to try and fill the Atio a bit. And, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. Like, just tenner a ticket, just get people in there, create a bit more atmosphere. And and I think that's maybe something. So I just wanted to comment that it just feels to me like they've made progress. Yeah. Although there are no more home games left anymore. Bath? Oh, no, there is. It's Bath. Sorry. So what I'm trying, of course,
biggest home game of the season.
Apologies. So what I'm trying to say is, it'd be interesting. I was leading on to this. Like, what sort of? I mean, I whisper it quietly. Might there be fireworks on top of the Dolmen? But then again, it's getting late now. Is it? The sun don't. It's going to be too light. It's too light. Even a Friday nighter. So anyway, I just thought that'd be interesting to talk about.
And it is good that they've made that move to they're listening, which is good.
100%.
We commented yesterday. We're loving the big flags being sort of
big flags,
lifted, aren't we?
Well, we saw a few tries. We saw 4, absolutely. So the big flags are out. The bear run is quite fun. I just went down a bit early. I got the timings wrong and ended up down there about an hour early. But I quite enjoyed watching the players come in. It's good fun. And again, talking about, I think I mentioned about Jamie George. Being a good player, he was the one Saracens player that stopped and talked to loads of Saracens fans as they walked in. Oh, really? Got to say, I was impressed. I said, not many, like Atoji kind of walked past. They got their game faces on. I get it. They don't have to. But I was actually quite impressed with Jamie George. He's that much of a pro that he can do that and still have his game face. And I'm not expecting all players to have to do that.
No, I remember asking Mara Atoji for an autograph, and he just walked past me like I wasn't there. And that was a couple of years ago. And I just thought, actually,
But anyway,
you're a great player. But
I mean, there's a couple of other things I wanted to mention. So it was a personal one, if you boys don't mind. I've got a good mate of mine, Neil Rogers, or Rogers as I call him. I went to university with him. He works in London somewhere, and he got in touch with me. He's one of these people, I haven't seen him much, but he keeps in touch. He said, "Hi Pete, hope all is well with you. I have a small favour to ask. I was at my cousin Mark's funeral yesterday, this was last week, in Wiltshire. He passed away in April, aged just 49, after battling cancer and spending a lot of time in hospital in Bristol. I was speaking to his best mate, Peter Swan, who convinced him to be a Bears fan, and they went to the games together. Peter was a season ticket holder in the Dolmen, stand E29.
Not far from us.
Not far from us. And we talked rugby and your pod at the funeral. I thought it would be a nice touch if you could give a shout out to Mark Littledale and Peter Swan particularly Peter after losing his rugby mate, Mark. Appreciate anything you can do. My cousin Mark was in the British Transport Police, and about 40 officers formed a guard of honour at the funeral in West Wiltshire Crematorium, and people were asked to wear a touch of blue. The attached floral tribute was a nice bear's touch too. Appreciate anything you can do. Hope all is well with the family and hopefully catch up soon. And then he sent me a photo of, I'll show it to you boys, it's not, of a little floral thing with a rugby ball, the Bears.
Nice.
So Mark was a fan that came late to Bristol because of his mate Pete Swan. So I said, yeah, it was that's another thing about rugby as well, isn't it? It brings people together, without. I don't want to fall into sort of cliche and pathos, but so Neil, there you go, and Pete. Really, it's not really about Neil. It was Pete, and Neil's cousin Mark, and best sort of wishes, as it were, to all the family and so forth.
Continue listening and.
Yeah. Well, you know what I said to Neil? I texted Neil back and said I'd love it if Pete at a Bath game, if somehow I shout him a pint, and buy him or come meet up with him and say hi. And I'm not quite sure how we're going to do that.
That really would be,
but that would be nice as well.
Yeah,
so
Pete buying a pint.
Pete buying a pint for Pete. Pete for a pint for Pete. And then the only other thing is that. I'm not going to go into detail, but we've had a bit of chat with. You remember we promoted a thing called Fans to 5K,
yes,
and they're doing Grant, who's the guy behind it, is doing a summer thing, and he's he wondered whether we would kind of promote it. I got to admit, I did sign up and then didn't actually do it, but it sounded like it was a real success. But anyway, I don't think we got time to do it now, but he has sent me quite a lot of information about it and about whether we could promote it a bit, and I think we perhaps do that in the next pod. But just to acknowledge to Grant that, and I don't see any problem with that. I think it is something that makes middle-aged men like us a bit fitter. Then it's got to be a good thing, and he's trying to generate this.
Miles is already looking pretty fit.
I think it's me and then don't do anything more, Pete, like you.
So on that note, I haven't got anything else to add. No. We've gone on a bit, but we've double pod really.
Yeah,
boys, you got anything else to say?
No, I just want to say, as usual, thanks to the listeners for bearing with us.
Absolutely.
And,
literally bearing with us.
And a lot of people expected us to put some out, I guess, straight away when the Tom Tatum thing came out. But obviously we have to always balance things out and get the whole concept and the kind of the context of everything. And I think we all agree we're wrong a lot, but we always give balance to everything, and we've given it due diligence from all angles. So, brilliant. We'll see you soon.
Okay. On that note, everyone, have a good week. Stay safe. Have a good week, and up the Bears.